Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to be covering Activity 12-4 using Advanced Boot Options. This is from the MCTS Guide to Microsoft Windows 7, and in my edition of the book, this activity starts on page 565. I will be doing this on a virtual machine, so one of the things I've noticed that helps, a lot of my other students had a couple of problems getting this to boot properly, in a virtual machine at least. So before we jump into that, I'm going to show how to make this a little bit easier for you. The big problem that they run into is that the virtual machine boots too quickly for them to get into the advanced boot options. So to change that, come into wherever your default or wherever your saved location is for your virtual machine. By default, it'll be in your Documents, Virtual Machines, and then you'll have a folder there for the machine itself, with whatever operating system is installed or whatever name you've given it. So you're going to open that folder. If you don't see your file extension types here, hit your Alt key, just hit it once and release it to bring up your menu options. Select Tools, Folder Options, go to the View tab, and remove this check mark that says Hide Extensions for Known File Types. Hit OK, and you'll be able to see all of your file extensions. In here, we want the file that is the extension .vmx, and we want to right-click on that, and I have Notepad++ installed. If you don't, tell it to open with Notepad. Deselect this option so it won't always do it, it'll just do it this one time. Open up in Notepad. I'm going to go ahead and open it in Notepad++ so that we can see how it looks here. So here's Notepad++. It's a little bit better just because I actually use it more for like HTML and some coding, just because everything's numbered and it helps you stay organized. If you have like an XML file that you open here, it can kind of collapse sections or expand sections so that you're not overwhelmed by all the stuff you're working with. Anyways, completely beside the point. You just want to open that VMX file right there into some kind of word processor. And near the top, I've added this line right here, the boot bios.boot delay. This is a millisecond value, so 8,000 milliseconds is the equivalent of 8 seconds. So this will give you a little bit more time to get into your advanced boot options. I've noticed that 8 is a pretty good amount of time, just enough time for you to do what you need to, but not enough time that you're sitting there waiting forever for it to boot when you're not trying to get into anything else. So 8,000 seems to work well. You can set that to pretty much whatever you want. Once you've added that file or that line into the file, remember to save it. You should be doing all of this with that virtual machine powered down, so that you can modify this and that'll pick up on the changes when you start it up. So you get that line added in, bios.boot delay equals 8,000 in this case. Then we go ahead and close it and close our directory view of those files. Then we'll start up our machine. And once it starts, we see that we have that timer down here, which gives us time to come in and hit our F8 key to get into our advanced boot options. And it may take a moment or two to open those options up for you. I think the first time I did this it was actually really quick, and every time since then it's been rather slow. If you're working on a physical machine and your F8 key doesn't work, I found a really easy way is just to power the machine on, let the operating system boot, and then give it a hard shutdown. Just pull the power, hold the power button, whatever you need to do to just crash it. And the next time it boots up, it'll give you these options. And it looks like even this virtual machine now is having some problems getting into the advanced boot options. So I'm just going to come, and this power off is the same thing as just pulling the plug on it. So we'll see how that works in VMware here. And the next time it boots, it should ask us at least a little bit of the advanced boot options there. Looks like it still isn't doing it. So we'll let it start booting. do it again. By the way, you shouldn't do this too frequently on a physical computer. It's not good for a system to start booting and then just crash randomly. And there we are. There's our advanced boot options. So you can go through and look through everything. A lot of the times, if a system crashes unexpectedly and it's the first time it happens, you might just tell it to start Windows normally, which is the option I have selected right now. It'll just try to pick back up and boot the operating system as normal. If it continues to have problems loading the operating system and booting, then you might have to come in and use some of these other troubleshooting tools. Following the book here, we are going to go ahead and select safe mode. And this is going to be safe mode without networking. I mean, this is just the bare bones minimum of the operating system. So let's go ahead and tell it to boot up in safe mode, and we can see all the files that it loads. So this is all the operating system files that it's loading in order to get that bare bones operating system up and running for us. So we'll give that a couple of minutes here. It shouldn't take too terribly long. Once it does come and boot up, we'll get logged into it. Keep in mind, if you're working in the industry and you're doing this on a computer that's part of a domain, then you will not be able to log in as, obviously, the domain administrator. You do not have any kind of networking capabilities on this computer right now, so only the local administrative logins are usable. Local users are also usable, but you are probably troubleshooting, so you want to be logged in as an administrator. The main key there is just that if you're on a domain, or if that computer's on a domain, you have no networking, so you can't log in as a domain member. You have to be logging in as a local member. Note that the resolution's kind of poor. It's set to 640 by 480, so don't expect anything spectacular. And note that it is also labeled in all four corners that you are in safe mode. That's just there to remind you. And then your OS Service Pack version will all be listed up at the top here. Alright, so for the book, we're going to go ahead and close this window. This gives a little bit of information about what safe mode is, what you can use it for, and you can go through the other links to see your other advanced startup options and stuff like that. We're going to go ahead and close that and move on. First thing we're going to do is we're going to open Internet Explorer just to make sure that we don't have any networking available. We should not be able to connect to the internet. Alright, and so that's good. We should be seeing this error. Also, if you notice down here, we have no connections available, which is right. We disabled networking for a reason. Sometimes if you get a really bad virus that you need to remove, it might not let you log in under the standard, regular boot up. So you come into safe mode, which disables all your networking, prevents it from replicating out to your other devices if you're on a network, or from pulling anything else down while you're not watching it. It might pull stuff down in the background and continually infect your computer. So this is one way to kind of restrict everything to the computer so you can do a little bit better troubleshooting. Alright, so we know that we have no network connections. We verified that because we can't access the internet, we can't access any websites. So we'll close Internet Explorer. And then we're just going to go ahead and restart. We're going to try to get back into the advanced boot options again. So again, trying with the F8 key to see if we can manually get in there easily without having to crash the system again. And there we are. Alright, and so this time we're going to select Enable Boot Logging. Keep in mind that in this mode the Windows 7 operating system is fully functional. So you should have your network connections back. You'll be able to install software or remove software as needed to do whatever you need for troubleshooting. So let that get booted up and we'll get logged in there. And we'll take a look at the log that it creates. Alright, we see our resolution is a lot better. Maybe not perfect, but at least it's not all the way down at 640 by 480. We have our networking back. Alright, so we're going to go to our start menu, open My Computer. Yours might just say Computer, depends on how you have your setup and what operating system you're running. From here, we're going to go into our C drive and Windows. We want to locate the NTBT log right here. If you have your file extensions visible, it should be a .text. So there it is. So we're going to go ahead and open it, and we're going to look through it just a little bit here. And so when we told our computer to boot into safe mode, and it started listing all of these files that were part of the boot process, this log basically just created the same thing, except it's not moving so quickly that we can't read it. So this lets you read through and see what exactly was launched and what was part of that boot up process, as well as anything that was excluded, which there should be a lot more excluded than anything else. You can see a huge section of this is just stuff that was not loaded. Alright. So, a couple of good tools to help you with some troubleshooting if your boot process isn't working. That might be a better option than just immediately jumping to, reinstalling Windows. You may be able to troubleshoot and correct a small problem that way. I think that does pretty much cover everything for this activity. So I'm going to end it here. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below, and I'll see you in my next video.